Hi, everyone, and welcome to another weekly worship. If you remember, we're looking at the school vision, and this is our third week. So let's have a look at what the third part of our vision says. We'll begin by reading the whole vision. We aspire to be guided in all that we do by our inclusive Christian ethos. We are enthusiastic about lifelong learning and share wisdom in serving each other and our world. We encourage all to live lives of hope and aspiration, inspired through acquiring new skills and attributes. Dignity and respect are at the heart of our school. So the part that we're looking at today is the part that's in bold. We encourage all to live lives of hope and aspiration, inspired through acquiring new skills and attributes. What do you think it means to live lives of hope and aspiration? One way of looking at hope and aspiration is to think of hope as being connected with the wider community. What do we hope our world will be like in 1 year's time, 2 years' time, 10 years' time? And what do we hope we can put into that world? Whereas aspiration is about ourselves, what do we aspire to be? What do we aspire to be in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years' time? What are our goals? Where are we aiming for? What would we like to do in the future? To help us think about this a little bit more, there's some questions on the screen in front of you. Some questions about hope and some questions about aspiration. So why not spend some time now just talking to your friend next to you, talking to the class, and seeing some of the answers for these questions that you have. So ask yourself, what hopes do you have for our community? That could be the community of Brown Edge or Norton or Stoke-on-Trent, or it could be the wider world community. What do you hope the world will look like in the future? And what do we hope our world will look like in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, 20 years' time? What do we hope is here and what do we hope is gone in those times? And then think about yourself. What do you aspire to be as you get older? When you're an adult, what aspirations do you have for your life? Is there a job you want to do? Do you want to be a vet or a doctor or a scientist or maybe an artist or a sports person or a musician? What is the aspiration that you have for your life? How do you see your life being as you get older? Do you want to be helping people? Do you want to be telling people about Jesus? Do you want to be teaching people? Do you want to be healing people? What do you aspire to be as you get older? So just spend a few seconds, few minutes thinking about these questions. As we think about hope and aspiration, I want to look at the life of one young man. And here he is as a young boy, probably about the same age as some of you. Do you recognise him? Can you guess who it might be? Hopefully this photograph might help you a bit more. Yes, it's Marcus Rashford, a footballer. Some might argue one of the best footballers at the moment. But he is a young man who has great aspiration for his own life. But what's more important, as he's brought hope to the community as well. Marcus grew up in a fairly large family, and he's spoken a lot about the struggles that his mum had of putting food on the table for them all. He came from a really tough background, but he aspired to get out of that situation. He aspired to to better himself so that he could help his family. So he trained hard and he worked hard to be the best footballer he could be. And he achieved that goal. He achieved his aspiration. But then when he looked at the world, he realized that actually there were people like him still around. There were people who were still struggling to put food on the table. There were still children who were going hungry like he had done when he was younger. And so he decided to do something about it. He had hope that the world could be a better place. But he wasn't just going to sit back and moan about it or sit back in the luxury of his money and his career. He was going to help things to get better. Rashford's campaign against child food poverty started after the UK went into lockdown because of the coronavirus back in March 2020. He began working with a charity called Fair Share, who gave food out to the most vulnerable families. In June last year, he told the BBC that about £20 million had been raised to supply 3 million meals around the country. He then wrote a letter to the MPs urging the government to change a decision they had made not to provide free school meals during the summer holidays. As a result of Rashford's message of hope, countless businesses, councils, charities and other organisations from around the world came out to show support and offered free meals to struggling families over the school holidays. Rashford hoped that he could make a difference, and he tried his best to do that. Rashford has achieved his aspiration of being the best footballer that he could be. And whether we like his team or not, whether we support him or not, we have got to admire the work that he's put into gaining that, to achieving his aspiration. But he didn't just sit back and say, right, I've got that. I've got everything that I want in my life. What he then did is look at the world, look at our country and say, you know what, things could be better. I have a hope for this world. I have a hope for our country. And his hope was that no child should go hungry, that child food poverty should end. So he used who he was as a footballer. He used his voice to speak out and to make a difference. But he also went along and he helped at the charities. He raised money. He did what he could to bring hope. He had aspiration for himself, but he had hope for his community as well. And he did something about it. One of my favourite Bible verses can be found in the book of Colossians, and that's a letter that can be found in the New Testament part of the Bible. And the verse says this: whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as if working for the Lord and not other people. Now, I think that sums up what hope and aspiration is all about. Whatever we do, whatever we aspire to be, whether that's a teacher, a doctor, a musician, an artist, a footballer, a runner, an athlete, whatever we aspire to be, let's work at that with all our heart so that we can achieve our aspiration. Whether we want to be the best mum in the world, the best dad in the world, whether we want to be the best accountant, whatever that is, let's work at it. Let's not give up. Let's persevere. Let's work with all our heart to be the best person we can be. But let's not do that just so we can sit back and go, aren't I great? Aren't I fantastic? Let's do that so that we can also bring hope into the world as well. Let's work hard at making the world a better place. Let's see the things that are wrong in the world and speak out. Let's help those people who need our help. Let's ask for help when we need help. Let's work with all our heart at being the best we can be, but also helping our communities to be the best they can be. Help us to have aspiration for ourselves, but hope also for our communities. Let us take some time just to reflect on what we've been thinking about. And if you want to join me in a prayer, feel free to do so and to say Amen at the end. Help us to live lives of hope and aspiration. Give us the strength and determination to aspire to be the best we can be. Give us the hope and the courage to make our world a better place for all people. Amen. So we've almost finished looking at our school's Christian vision. We've got one more piece to slot in until we finish, but just let's remind ourselves what we've looked at. So our vision says that we are guided by our Christian ethos. Our school is built on those Christian values. We gain wisdom in serving each other and our world around us. So what we learn, we put into practice so that we can help others and make the world a better place. And we live lives of hope and aspiration. We aspire to be the best we can be, and we hope that our communities can be the best that they can be too. Fair places for all to live in. So we're guided by our Christian ethos. We use our wisdom in serving others, and we have hope and aspiration. So this is the school we want to be. This is our vision for our school.